With Ghostface about to have his Mortal Kombat 1 release and it being Halloween season, I wanted to highlight the Mortal Kombat horror icons that have already been in the franchise and cover the ones that have not yet made their Mortal Kombat debut. So, no, I will not be talking about Spawn, the Xenomorph, Predator. Uh, those typically don't, for me, fit into the horror. I don't consider those horror icons. I won't get too much in the discussion on that, but since Spawn is more of like a dark action superhero, and Predator and the Xenomorph are more in the sci-fi action thriller, those are more thriller villains. I don't consider them traditional horror movie villains or characters. You can at me in the comments, but I'm not including them on this list. So I want to start off with the horror icon that started it all for Mortal Kombat, Freddy Krueger. And I will say that I'm going to basically give like a brief bio of who they are if you're not familiar with the characters, which I would think if you're clicking on this video, you know who these horror icons are. But if not, I'm going to break it down for you. And I'm going to kind of give if they were in the Mortal Kombat game, I'm going to give them their Mortal Kombat bio and what they've done in the game. And then for the ones who have not made it to Mortal Kombat yet, give again a bio and what I think about their moveset and what I would feel like they'd fit into the game overall. So let's get to it. So as I said, the one that started all was Freddy Krueger. So just a brief history about Freddy according to his wiki. Again, if you're not familiar with him, he is the main villain for the A Nightmare on Elm Street horror film franchise. He was created by Wes Craven. He made his debut in the 1984 A Nightmare on Elm Street as the malevolent spirit of a child killer who had been burned to death by his victims' parents. Krueger goes on to murder his victims in their dreams, causing their deaths in the real world as well. In the dream world, he is a powerful force and seemingly invulnerable. However, when Freddy is pulled back into the real world, he has normal human vulnerabilities and can be destroyed. Again, he is commonly shown with burns on a burn and disfigured face. He wears the famous red and green striped sweater, the Christmas sweater, usually a brown fedora, and has a trademark metal clawed brown leather glove on his right hand. So that's Freddy in a nutshell. Now, as far as specific to Mortal Kombat, he made his debut as a playable guest character in Mortal Kombat 9, the 2011 Mortal Kombat, as the first guest character available through DLC on all platforms through the Season Pass. Now, according to his MK bio, which is more specific, again, it kind of covers some of the general stuff about him, but kind of more specific how he became into the game. It says, Krueger is a malevolent spirit of the dream realm. I guess that's a new realm that we haven't seen yet in Mortal Kombat. Freddy Krueger preys on the souls of the living as they sleep. When Shao Kahn began to steal Earthrealm's souls Freddy considered his own, Freddy battled the Emperor in the dream realm, almost like a Freddy versus Jason kind of thing. But Shao Kahn's will was too strong. He pulled Freddy into the real world, where he was mortal and defeated him. A badly injured yet determined Freddy fitted both his hands with demonically enhanced razor gloves. Once he has killed Shao Kahn, he will find a way back to the dream realm where he will torment Earthrealm souls for eternity. Dang, sounds pretty serious. I did want to also talk about his ending. So one thing I will say, and I watched some kind of videos of Freddy Krueger from Mortal Kombat 9. He didn't say a whole lot, mostly grunts and stuff like that, but his moveset overall, to me, it seemed kind of, it was okay. It wasn't what I thought, but there was a couple of cool fatalities, like where they kind of, I think one of them was like, he shows him into like in the Freddy Krueger, he's always like in a basement or some like warehouse type thing, and there's always like this kind of like the word's not coming to right now, but I think like Home Alone and like in the basement you have like the furnace. There you go, the furnace. It's where he got burned, so he like shoves one of the characters into the furnace. So it's that kind of stuff. So I like that they kind of pull those kind of Easter eggs from the movie. But his MK ending, I'm guessing he gets to torment Earthrealm souls. Freddy Krueger's bladed hands tore through Shao Kahn. The demonically enhanced weapons had been more than a match for the Emperor's dark magic. Though Freddy had saved Earthrealm, Nightwolf recognized him as an evil spirit, and a shamanistic ritual sent him back to the dream realm. But that decision proved ruinous. Freddy did not resist. He welcomed a return to immortality. From the dream realm, he will again create a nightmare in Earthrealm. So that's Freddy Krueger. Moving on to his, frenemy, we have Jason Voorhees, who made his debut in Mortal Kombat X. So just a brief history about Jason Voorhees. According to his wiki, Jason is an undead human serial killer known for his appearances in the cult classic slasher film series Friday the 13th. A victim of neglect and drowning, Jason's relentless and remorseless nature of the immovable and unstoppable killing machine has made him not only one of the most iconic characters of the slasher genre, but in pop culture as a whole, of course, with his hockey mask. Jason made his debut as a playable guest character in Mortal Kombat X, as I said, as the first one of the first characters through the DLC as far as the combat pack. His MK bio reads, "Death and revenge make up the very core of Jason Voorhees' being. He died as a young boy. His mother was killed out of grief and rage. When she was murdered, Jason returned and avenged her. Many times since, the living have tried to send him back to the realm of the dead. He's been stabbed, drowned, electrocuted, hurled into space, but Jason cannot be killed and cannot be stopped." Which is true. If you've seen the whole franchise, he's done all those things. So, I didn't like his bio as much for the MK because it didn't really relate him too much into Mortal Kombat, but, nonetheless, they can't all go to Camp Crystal Lake. As far as his moveset, I mean, he's Jason Voorhees, so, with the machete and all that kind of stuff, it's very, not Michael Myers-esque, but it's just very plain in my mind, but doesn't matter. I was so glad that he was in the game. As far as his MK ending goes, like Scorpion, Jason Voorhees was a revenant. Makes sense. A vengeful spirit returned to life. Hundreds had fallen victim to his bloodlust. Liu Kang, now ruler of Earth of the Netherrealm, took notice. An immortal killer like Jason would be useful in his plan for conquest. He drew Jason into the Netherrealm and offered him an endless bounty of slaughter in return for his allegiance. Jason's simple reply was to destroy Liu Kang. Interesting. So that was Jason. All right, next up, if I guessed it, we have Leatherface. So again, a brief history of Jedediah Sawyer, aka Leatherface. According to his wiki, he's a cannibalistic human serial killer known for his appearances in the cult classic slasher film series, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. A chainsaw-wielding cannibal, Leatherface's appearance as a hulking, faceless, power tool-using killer helped establish many elements of the slasher genre while becoming one of the many iconic slasher villains in the horror genre. And as someone from Texas, because of this movie, I will never go down back roads, especially in the hill country. You never know. You never know. Leatherface made his debut as a playable guest character in Mortal Kombat X or DLC as part of the Combat Pack 2. Leatherface later reappears as a playable character in Mortal Kombat Mobile. His MK bio reads, "With the Sawyer clan of Newt, Texas, was unusual for sure, and they weren't always the nicest. So it came as no surprise when Leatherface's brothers told him he couldn't come home again until he brought back the best chili meat he could find." I've never read this till now. But how would Leatherface know it was the best unless he tried everything? He took his chainsaw and his favorite masks and headed off. Leatherface ended up in a lot of strange places. Not long ago, he walked through a glowing, spinning purple doorway and found himself in a crazy city called Zonkera, or something. Or something. There was now plenty of strange meat to try. So far, chitin was his favorite. Interesting bio. That's the first time I've read that. So I think he, of course, just like with Jason, I mean, these horror icons, I mean, Freddy has, I think, a little bit of a different aspect with, he's, he doesn't seem as plain. He has a little bit more of a personality to him. He can do some cool things, especially he has more of a magic element to him. With Jason, I think Leatherface, they're just kind of, their weapon is like the machete, the chainsaw. I think Leatherface is a little bit more aggressive in his moves, so he can, do that kind of stuff, but, more of a plain moveset. So his time in MK ended. I'm guessing he got the chili meat he wanted, but with Leatherface had cut down the old man in a strange outfit. Okay, I'm guessing that's Shang Tsung maybe. Maybe now that he was dead, the pretty yellow-haired gum-chewing girl could notice Leatherface. Putting on his fanciest mask, Leatherface found the army camp where the pretty girl could be found most days. I'm guessing that's Sonya Blade. He had to cut through a few guards and more than a few of her friends to get to her, but it was worth it. He pulled out the old man's face, which he'd saved for the girl as a present. The girl didn't want the present, and she wasn't being nice. So Leatherface chopped her into tiny pieces for Drayton to use in his chili. He then took off his mask and set to work on the girl's face. If she wasn't going to be his girlfriend, she could be his in other ways. Always creepy. Always creepy. So those are the horror icons that to me have already been in Mortal Kombat so far. I did not cover Ghostface in that because I have a separate video that I've already done for him, so you can go watch that. But I want to go ahead and start the list of the horror icons that we could possibly see, maybe not soon, but could have potential of being in the Mortal Kombat franchise. So, starting off with my boy Mikey, because he's always on the list, my Michael Myers. So, a brief history of Michael Myers, if you're not familiar with him. According to his wiki, Michael Myers is a central character and the main villain in the Halloween franchise. As a 6-year-old child, Michael was admitted into a psychiatric hospital for murdering his older sister, Judith Myers. After nearly 15 years of captivity, Myers broke out of the asylum and for 23 years hunted down the rest of his family to kill them. Of course, Laurie Strode, that was Jamie Lee Curtis's character in the movie. She's kind of the main protagonist throughout, and of course it's her like various cousins and some of the Halloween sequels that some people don't like. So, Michael Myers has been rumored to be a guest in Mortal Kombat since horror characters first made their debut as DLC in Mortal Kombat 9. Many think the reason why we haven't seen him grace the Mortal Kombat franchise yet is because he's too similar to Jason Voorhees, and his overall moveset again would just be kind of simple, plain, and I think boring. I don't know what he could really do. I guess if you took not so much the 1970s version of Michael Myers, but I guess the more Jason Blum version of Michael Myers, maybe then, because I think the newer one's more aggressive. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my words today, but not the main Michael Myers from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but the one in between, Rob Zombie. There you go. Even the Rob Zombie version was aggressive too, so I think we could use that. But anyways, maybe if we had him, then that version he would be get a little bit more oomph. While he isn't going to be joining Mortal Kombat anytime soon, though, he is able to be played in Dead by Daylight and most recently in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. So there you go. So Michael Myers. All right, moving on. Let's talk about our boy Chucky. So, a brief history of Chucky. According to his wiki, Charles Lee Ray, the infamous Lakeshore Strangler, was tracked down and shot after a murderous rampage. However, he escaped death by having his soul possess a good guy's doll named Chucky through a curse. Chucky didn't want to stay a good guy forever, though, and he knew there was only one way to change that. Take the body of Andy Barclay, the first person he had revealed his secret to. Charles continues to try and transfer his soul to a human body from the doll, but always fails. That's your history of Chucky. So with Chucky, he has been mentioned in recent leaks as a guest DLC, and it was even mentioned in a recent Twitter poll by Ed Boon as a possible guest cameo character, with fans picking him second over Invincible as a wanted cameo guest character. When discussing Ed's poll in a previous video, I likened Chucky's potential MK gameplay, to Farah and Tor, or even just by herself now from Mortal Kombat 1. And I think that's pretty good. I mean, I can't see him being like a main character you could play as, but I definitely think as a cameo, either to a main character or to a guest character, it would make sense. So him and Ghostface, maybe, I don't know, it's kind of makes sense to me. But there's Chucky. All right. Moving on to somebody similar, let's talk about Billy the Puppet from Saw. I know I'm not picking the pig-headed murder, but I think he more represents what people think about when they think of Saw. So here is a brief history of Billy. According to his wiki, Billy, the mechanical ventriloquist puppet designed by John Kramer, was a recurring item throughout the Saw franchise. He was used to inform the victims of Jigsaw's deadly games about the rules and instructions they had to follow in order to survive, and in the event of their survival, he would deliver a message of congratulations. Typically, Billy would appear via video, though occasionally, as a doll, would appear physically in dramatic fashion, such as riding on a tricycle or crashing through a window in a cage. So, that's the history of Billy the Puppet. Now, I would say that Billy the Puppet would be the least likely character I would expect to see in the Mortal Kombat franchise. Sorry, just putting it out there before I even go through the other characters I'm going to talk about. But if he were though to join the franchise, I think he would be similar to Farah and Chucky in a moveset though. Although it would be cool to kind of have the various death traps from Saw in the franchise be a part of his combos, X-rays, brutalities, and fatality moves if he gets to do all that. Like seeing Sindel, who is known for her deadly vocals, being put in the same reverse bear head trap as Amanda from the first Saw movie. That would be kind of cool, right? I think that'd be kind of cool. So I could see him being a little bit, giving us something a little bit different we could see. But again, as far as just a general moveset, I don't know what he's going to offer. What, run you over with his tricycle? I don't know. So there's Billy the Puppet. All right, now moving over to a character. He's more recent, but I would really like to see him kind of be in the game. I think he just kind of fits the overall theme. But we have Art the Clown. So here's a brief history of Art the Clown. According to his wiki, he's, of course, from the Terrifier series, if you're not familiar with him. While his real past is unknown, for now, Art is a demonic killer clown with mime-like qualities who is vile, dangerous, and demented, and has an act for viciously slaughtering nearly anyone he comes across, with his preferred method of killing and torture being mutilation. Art possesses various supernatural abilities as well, which he uses to induce fear upon his targets. He is shown to be an extremely dedicated serial killer, stopping at nothing until he has finally cornered his victims, who he continually chases down, terrorizes, and stalks before killing them in a slow, violently sadistic manner, or, as shown in some cases, sparing their lives only so that they have to live with the trauma he has exposed them to. And if you've seen the Terrifier movies, you will understand what I'm talking about. But as far as Mortal Kombat goes, I think he'd be a perfect fit for Mortal Kombat as a guest character, since he's completely unhinged and be extremely bloody and gory, which fits perfectly with this franchise. So I think he'd be the best one to put in there. I can even see him in matches where he starts off in a perfectly clean clown costume, and as the match progresses, he becomes a bloodied clown from his moves. I think that'd be kind of cool. While we may not see Art anytime soon, he is currently DLC in Call of Duty and is going to Grace theaters, or is already in theaters, in Terrifier 3, and will be back in Terrifier 4. So that is Art the Clown. I think out of all the characters that could be, he'd be my top pick for Mortal Kombat. All right, moving on to another clown, let's talk about Pennywise. So here's a brief history of Pennywise according to his wiki. It, also known as Pennywise or Pennywise the Clown, Pennywise the Dancing Clown, he is the main villain of Stephen King's 1986 horror novel of the same name, It. The character is an ancient, shape-shifting, trans-dimensional evil entity who preys upon the children, and sometimes adults, of Derry, Maine. He has been in the past TV series with Tim Curry, the various movies with Billy Skarsgård, and he's going to be probably in the upcoming Max series present in some way. I think Pennywise would be an interesting addition to the game. We've had Joker already in the game in Mortal Kombat 11 as guest DLC, but this would be a more, I feel like, a demented, monstrous form of a character who can use his ability to transform himself, along with his more random rage to kind of cause violence to his foes. I think there also could be some cool fatality involving his iconic red balloon, or somehow floating. It's his big thing about floating. So I think they could do something with that. But I think Pennywise would be a very interesting character. I mean, he starts off as a clown, whatever, then he kind of goes creepy, and then he shows off his, monstrous teeth. So I think we can do something with that. So I could see Pennywise being kind of a good fit for this franchise. All right. Now my top pick, Art the Clown would be my second pick, but my top pick, and I don't know why he hasn't already made this happen before, but Pinhead. Why hasn't Pinhead been in Mortal Kombat yet, guys? He would be perfect. So here's a brief history of Pinhead if you're not familiar. According to his wiki, Pinhead is from the Hellraiser franchise and is one of the leaders of the Cenobites, said to be humans who were later transformed into demonic creatures blindly devoted to the practice of experimental sadomasochism. They exist in an extra-dimensional realm that is hell, or one of many versions of hell that coexist. Cenobites are usually only summoned to Earth through puzzle boxes, such as the limit configuration. Then there's different versions of the puzzle, but nonetheless, any one of them will summon them. So I think out of all the villainous horror icons, Pinhead seems like the most suitable one for the franchise to me. Art Clown would be the second, I think. What he doesn't have really in hand-to-hand combat moves, he definitely makes up for in finishers and fatalities. I mean, just how he looks. The guy's got pins in his head. His chain hooks that hook into their victims, in various movies he's done it, and pull their flesh apart alone would be a brutal and sadistic way for a character to die. He may be more suited as a guest cameo, I think, like Chucky, but even if he was brought in as like a main character you could play as, I think this is kind of like a no-brainer. At least in my mind, it seems like a no-brainer. I mean, just think about like not Ermac. I went red. Sector. I mean, just given like her boosted suit moves, there's been tons of ones where she's already just like completely demolished people's heads and bodies just by brushing through them. it'd be kind of, I think, like some of that similar set with him. And there's way more things he could do. Like he could put them back in a puzzle, like in a box, and then like destroy them. And there's tons of things that could happen because, you know, with the Hellraiser series, they're all about kind of doing sadistic things to you, like turning you into a Cenobite. That'd be kind of cool to see some of these characters turn into Cenobites based off of like, you know, kind of what I'm trying to think. Like in one of the movies, there's like twins, like there's twin cops, right? So he pushes their heads together and make them into one by like spiraling their, you know, their heads into one. So it's like their heads, but they're kind of like spiraling together, like merged, and then they're Cenobites. So it'd be kind of cool to see like something like that based off of like a characteristic of themselves. That's what I was trying to say. So I think Pinhead would be my number one pick, and then Art the Clown. So I can't say a list about horror movie icons without talking about one of these main characters that has come up in leaks ever since I started talking about Mortal Kombat on this channel, and that would be Mr. Ash Williams. And I saved the best for last, right? So again, Ash Williams, he's portrayed by Bruce Campbell, and he is known as the main hero throughout the Evil Dead series. Not the newer ones, not the remakes, but of the original Evil Dead series, he's the main character and hero. He faces off against Deadites, evil creatures possessed by the ancient evil of the Kandarian demon. So I know we've talked about, I feel like we've talked about him quite a bit, but he's been mentioned in countless leaks since Mortal Kombat 10 and has been highlighted in many videos again on this channel, but hasn't ever made his presence in the franchise due to potential licensing issues. There's been various reasons over the years, and Bruce Campbell mentioning that he doesn't want Ash to appear in other people's games. He's, you know, made comments like he'd rather them come to him, but Ed has pulled fans in the past, and Ash has appeared to be a top pick amongst fans, and it's continually brought up. As a horror hero, he would be a good candidate for Mortal Kombat. His movesets remind me of Striker Cross with Aaron Black, and he could integrate the Deadite possession and magic into his finishers and fatalities because, you know, obviously, you know, there's versions of with human hands, both of them, where there's ones where he's got, you know, got a shotgun on one, or, you know, or he even himself turns into a Deadite in like an Army of Darkness and stuff like that. So I think he could play around with that a little bit, you know, and I don't know, there could be like a fatality like where, you know, you hear the music like from the movie play backwards or whatever, and you know, he's got the book or something and it does something weird to you, or like he has like one of the army soldier, the skeleton soldiers from the second, you know, the kind of come in slap, you know, there could be anything that could happen, but I think really a lot of fans still want him to be in the game, and you know what, I think eventually let's just make it happen, guys, especially while Bruce Campbell's still alive. Let's just go ahead and do it. Come on, let's just give the fans what they want. There are a lot of other candidates that could be in the game. I will, you know, link down to another video that kind of covers this. It has like Megan and some other ones. I think it was like from a Screen Rant article that talked about this, or Game Rant article. But I'll put that in there too. So that kind of gives you a good breadth of all the characters that could be in Mortal Kombat. But this was a good general spread of all the horror icons that have been in Mortal Kombat and could be maybe in Mortal Kombat. So let me know in the comments down below what you think about my list. Of the ones that have been in Mortal Kombat, who was your favorite guest horror character? Of the ones that I mentioned that have not yet made it, who would you like to see, maybe give like your top 3, who would you like to see in the Mortal Kombat series, and maybe not so much? And if I didn't mention one of the horror icons, again, I know I didn't say, I said Spawn, Predator, and the Xenomorph, not on the list, but if those you want to add in there too, go ahead. But if there's any other horror icon I didn't mention, you know, like one that came to mind that I didn't put on there was like Wishmaster. He'd be kind of cool, but, you know, not as mainstream or popular anymore, I guess. But let me know in the comments down below too. I love to hear your thoughts. That's it for this video, guys. Hit that like button. If you want more like this, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time on the Mashup.